And I have to tell you that when I was 9 years old, 1 year after the independence of Israel was declared, people were asking me because the Knesset of Israel, our parliament, our shrine of democracy, moved to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv after Ben-Gurion told the United Nations, if you are not accepting our Jerusalem to be our capital, you can decide whatever you would like to decide upon. Nevertheless, what will be decisive is what we will decide. And we have decided that Jerusalem is the capital. And when they came, all members of Knesset and all politicians, and we had politicians long before the establishment of the State of Israel, because in every Jew we have at least 3 politicians. When we don't have somebody to argue with, we are arguing with ourselves. So you have to know that people were asking me, young Ruvi, well, what is your dream? And I said to them, what do you mean, what is my dream? My dream has come true because we are all together in the State of Israel. We dreamt about the State of Israel, my family for 1800 years, and your families for 2000 years. But of course, we made our dream reality. And they said to me, no, we would like to ask you if your dream is to become a member of Knesset. And I said, what do you mean? To become a member of Knesset, you need a dream? First of all, I would like to graduate the gymnasia, afterwards to go to the army, to become an officer, to be part of those who will build our country, and to absorb people who would like to come to Israel, to return back to their homeland. And if I would like to become a politician, you need no dream for that. And they asked me, would you like, aren't you dreaming about becoming a minister? And I said, yes, minister is very important because I see that every one of them has a car. Well, and a car in 49 was something, I must say. And a chauffeur is very respectable, but you don't need to have a dream in order to become a minister. Would you like to become the Speaker of the Knesset? I said, the Speaker of the Knesset is a very honorable man and very important one, Mr. Sprinzak at the time, but you don't have to need a dream for that. So what is your dream, they asked me. I said that my dream is that in the year 2000, we will have in Israel 2 million Jews. My teacher almost took me to the hospital because she thought that I am lunatic. Now, and in the year 2000, we are in Israel, out of 8 million citizens, 6 million Jews. It's a horrible number because of the remembrance of what happened to 1/3 of our people during the Holocaust. Nevertheless, we are. And if we would have 11 million, we would have no problems with the Palestinians who are living together with us. Because many people in Israel really believe that we have to separate from the Palestinians, not because of the Palestinians. You have to know, and I've told many people who I met during those days that I'm here, I'm not a socialist. Because of that, I could never patronize anyone. I'm in a very good relationship with every Arab, Palestinian, Israeli, especially with members of Knesset, in spite of a gap of the idea that the land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel as their homeland. That is almost unbridgeable between us. They know that I am very, very strict with my ideas because I really believe that there is no way for Israel to exist unless it would be a Jewish state, but nevertheless a democratic one. And every citizen will have the same rights that every other citizen has, whether he's a Jew or whether he's non-Jew, which means an Arab. And they respect me and I respect them because everyone knows I insist upon Jewish state, they insist upon democratic state. I believe it is a dream, but I believe that we can bridge the gap. And the burden of showing that we can run a Jewish and democratic state is on the burden of the majority of the Israelis who are Jews. But, of course, there are some problems also, not between us, the Israelis, from the right side and from the wrong side, Ambassador, from the left side and from the wrong side, or shall we say, from both sides. Because after convincing ourselves and after deciding, because Israel is democracy, and the Oslo Agreement and the redeployment from Gaza was reached by a not mass majority. Oslo Agreement were accepted by the Knesset with a majority of 61 against 59, which means those 59, half of the people bounded the head to the decision of the majority, even though it is a majority of 1 when the democracy of Israel decided to adopt Oslo Agreement. Although many people of us thought, how can we return back Arafat to be near Jerusalem? How it could be, why we are dreaming a dream of peace once we could be awaked by a nightmare as an outcome of the return back of the Palestinian organization to Israel. But we made all the efforts afterwards in order to find a way to continue with the understanding that we are living together. I really believe that the land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel and we can live together. Nevertheless, I know that probably most of the Israelis, I would not say 90%, but more than 70%, if they will find themselves in a condition that there is a peace treaty, they will sign it and they will approve it. And we will have referendum, if at all we will get to the stage that we have to bring to an end the conflict, and it's up to us. Because I must say that one of my former friends, the Prime Minister of Israel, we have a sort of differences of opinion just now, but I must say that I believe that it is very true about going to a real negotiation with the Palestinian. If the Palestinian will show the faith and will build confidence measure that they are intending to end the conflict between the Jewish state and insist upon the acceptance of the Palestinian of Israel as a Jewish state, and if they will give up their thought about the right of return, because at the time we were in Israel in 49, at about, I've said, 800,000 Jews, and at about 500 to 800,000 Palestinians. Now there are more than 11 million Palestinians who claim that they have to return back to their homeland in Jaffa, in Jerusalem, and all over. They managed to do really something out of 600,000 to become 11 million in time, 64 years. It is a miracle, but miracles happen in the Middle East. Nevertheless, they have to declare loud and clear and to be honest and to say we are ready to become a Palestinian state next to Israel as a Jewish state, with the understanding that Jewish state, it is a need for the state of Israel, because we would like to welcome and to let every Jew from all over the world, when he decided to get back and to return back to his homeland, to have the opportunity to become a citizen of Israel on the spot. And there is no other way, because we have only one Jewish state. All Jews all around the world, everyone sits in his own home, but it is temporary, even if the temporarism are going for 1,000 years. Jerusalem is a state, Jerusalem is the city of every one of you, beside the Mexico City, Mexico. Everyone have two towns or two cities that he lives in. His own city, his own home, and Jerusalem. And I really believe that we have some problems when we are negotiating with our neighbors or our opponents, or sometimes our enemy, Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas, and his friends, because I'm not so sure that as the president of the Palestinian people, he can deliver the goods once he will decide that it is time to make peace with Israel. I know Mr. Abbas for more than 25 years, along with Mr. Peres, our dear president, in spite of the differences of opinion. And Peres really believes in peace, and he believes that the Palestinian will accept the Palestinian state as a state minus. I know my friends, the Arab people. They are my friends, they are my cousins, and I know that they would never accept anything less than Israel. But we have to say, we have to see. And sometimes, if, for example, the Palestinian state could endanger the very existence of Israel, we have to consider it very, very seriously. So I believe that Abu Mazen have left his ideas as terrorists, because he wrote a very serious book about the need to go with Israel step by step and to bring to an end Israel not in one battle, because he has seen that 5 battles didn't help the Arabs to get to their wishes. And now I know that he has changed all his strategy, and he believes that the best interest of the Palestinian people, along with Fayyad, that he had to resign from being the prime minister of the Palestinian people. And we are in difficulties because even if Arafat will get to the idea that it is a must to get to understanding of the final borders between the two entities, it will be very difficult for him to convince the Hamas people, who believe that there is no way for Israel to exist from religious point of view, from the ideas of Islam, and the Fatah who would say, how can Israel become a free state of the Jewish people when they are on our land? So it is quite difficult after convincing ourselves and after deciding that the best way for the Israelis, if we will decide so, in spite of my ideas, but I really believe that when the majority will decide upon, we can deliver the goods, because once the Prime Minister of Israel, who is very serious with his mind and with his heart, that he has to build confidence measure in order to show that we are ready to make peace under the ideas of the Americans, and under the demands, or some of the demands of the Palestinians. But you have to understand all those territories that we are holding, and they are being defined by most of the nations in the United Nations as occupied territories, will remain in the hands of the Israelis, because we can't live without Jerusalem, we can't live without Gush Etzion, we can't live without the city of Ariel, and we can't live without holding the top of the hills in the area of Binyamin. And everyone who knows understands what I'm talking about. But we hopefully pray that everyone will get to the understanding that we can live together, because if we will find a way to live together, it must be with open borders, with mutual economy, with cooperation. If they will be behind boundaries that they can shoot us or shell us with rockets, that would be very difficult. But we have a lot of hope, we are dreamers, and I believe that the Israeli democracy is very strong to stand even in such decisive decision, because when we will have to get decision, I know that we will get a decision. And we will do according to the rule of majority. I would like to relate my few last